I have made a lot of mistakes as a home educating parent. And if you are new or you're just starting out, I want to be there for you. So I'm going to tell you the biggest home education mistakes I have made in the last 8 years, and hopefully you can avoid making them. Hello and welcome to Adventure All the Way. I'm Emma and I'm a home educating mum of 3 from the UK. I've been home educating since 2016. My children have never been to school. If you are new, welcome. Here we talk all things home education and family life in a neurodivergent family of 5, and that means everything that comes with being their mother, from keeping a house to budgeting, Christmas presents or Yule presents in our case, paganism because we're pagan, and behavior management, gentle parenting, all of the things, okay? And if you are a returning viewer subscriber, you already knew all of that because you've been here before, and I'm really glad to see you back. So I want to talk about some of the biggest mistakes that I feel I've made since I started home educating my eldest son in 2016, when he would have gone to school. He became compulsory school age in Easter 2017, and he was 5 at that point, which means his younger sister, my middle child, was 3, and my youngest was just a baby, and man, was that overwhelming. So I want to share with you some of my mistakes and what I wish I could do if I could go back in time and do it all again and be advised by me, future me. If past me could be advised by future me, you get it? Number 1 is not creating a predictable rhythm throughout the day. And this is not something that I had when I first started home educating, and it's not something I prioritized either because I thought, yeah. I didn't know then. What I do now is that all 3 of my children are on the autistic spectrum. We highly suspect they're all on the ADHD spectrum as well, and that I have ADHD. My husband also suspects that he is autistic as well. So I didn't know any of this, and I did not suspect any of this back then. I did suspect, I think by that point, that my eldest was autistic. My middle child, don't think we had yet, maybe we were like a year away from suspecting she was autistic as well. So at this point we were like, there's something going on here. Everyone's a bit quirky in this house, but so was everyone else we knew. So it didn't seem too normal. But our days were completely fly by the seat of your pants kind of days, and they would be all over the place. My husband at the time, his work schedule was kind of unreliable. Some days he would go in at 7 and he wouldn't be home till 5, or other days he wouldn't go in till 10, and so on and so forth. You wouldn't necessarily be able to predict when daddy was going to be home, and that was not great for the kids. Now they're a lot older, they can cope with a little bit more of uncertainty, but excuse me, I wouldn't be an Adventure All the Way video without me yawning. They can cope with it now, but they definitely couldn't cope with it when they were small. So that's something that I would try and do if I could go back in time and start home educating again. I would even create a visual timetable that helped everybody, including myself, with the rhythm of the day, especially when we didn't have any external classes or clubs to go to, if we did, we had them on reliable. We had them they were reliable days. We knew, say, like if anyone went to preschool, it was Monday, Wednesday, Friday or something, we knew when things were going to happen. So then we could plan the rest of the days accordingly. I would be very intentional about that, and I would be very and keep it very visual so the children could see, and with pictures and things so they would be able to predict what was happening before they were reading. So that's my first big mistake that I feel like I did, was not be intentional enough with predictable routines for my children. I think realistically at the time, where we were in our lives, it wasn't something that I could manage on my own. I needed somebody to help me. I needed someone to help me create what we were going to do and give me ideas, because when you're so overwhelmed because you've got a young baby and young children, my children were 5, 3 and a tiny baby, I just didn't have the brain space to make decisions on what we were going to do. And I think a lot of that time was wasted almost in just not intentionally putting experiences in front of them that I could have. I think we were also on a tight budget. I know we were on a tight budget. We were on a tighter budget than we are now. So I couldn't necessarily get those things that I could have, you know, more craft supplies and things like that. I was also struggling a lot with maintaining the home and not knowing what to do or how to do it, from just never being taught as a young adult or as a teenager what to do. And like I'm using these as like examples in my mind. So when I go to create digital products to put in my shop, I'm like, let's just think what I needed when I first started out and what I could have really done with, and let's make something that would have helped past me, and then hopefully it helps others. So that's kind of where I'm going with that. But sidebar, yeah, I wish that I had been more intentional with our routine throughout the day to create predictability and more joy and more fun. 2 is not enough time outside when they were younger. So we've always been a very outdoorsy family. We've always had pretty much on and off, we've either had a share in a horse or we've had our own horses ever since Charles was a baby, and he's almost 13. So they've always been around horses ever since they were very young. And so that we've always been outdoorsy in that respect. But I feel like when they were much younger, and I'm talking like under the age of 7, and I did do this with Albert, I didn't do it with the other 2, because like I think it's quite often with the third child, you've kind of worked out what works and what doesn't work by the time you've had the third kid. And I wish I'd known this when I had Charles and Bessie first. And if I ever have any more children, then I'm gonna be like, watch this video back. And yes, so I feel like I should have taken them out to the park more. I should have like not tried to do teaching them the alphabet when they were like 2 and 4, and I should have just abandoned that and just taken them outside, taken them for walks in the forest, taken them to the beach, taken them for walks in the park, and just showed them nature and really made them aware of nature. The only curriculum that I would have followed at like preschool and pre-7 is reading to them, very basic maths through play and play only, and nature study, and I would have done absolutely nothing else. So like that's what I would do if I did it all again. Is that's literally it, because when you introduce these things when they hit 6 to 7, they suddenly just race with it and they can get it. But when you're trying to introduce it that young, I just don't think they get it in the same way. At least not in my experience. My children did not get it in the same way. And with Albert, we've been very, very gentle all the way up until now. He's now 8. And this year he's been kind of doing his first year of really, really major education, where I've been like, yep, okay, let's get some stuff done. And he spent a lot of time doing nature study and a lot of time playing and a lot of time just being exposed to literature rather than being forced to know his letters and sounds and stuff, and he's just thriving. But Albert has had all of that time to just play and be himself, and I did not try and teach him phonics or anything when he was 4. I didn't try to teach him to read until he was already turned 6, and he's exactly where he would be if he was at school. Maybe 6 months difference, just as like an example. I don't think those things necessarily correlate, but they're very kind of, they certainly make me go, that's interesting. The children who were pushed into it earlier have struggled more than the child who was given more space and more time. So, and I have so many lovely memories of Albert when he was very, very young, you know, finding caterpillars in the garden, watching butterflies laying eggs, identifying trees, identifying birds, all of that sort of thing. And actually the older 2 don't enjoy it as much. But Albert thinks it's the best. And he's the one that I introduced it to more when he was very, very young. And I think that helped because I cemented a love of the outdoors and of nature in his mind. It also helps, I think, because I was already a pagan when he was born. I was not a pagan when the other 2 were born and very, very young. So, you know, I think like that's all reasons why. That was probably it, but definitely as much outside time as possible. I think little children should just be outside as much as possible. And no matter what the weather, it could be -5 and I would still be like, let's just put extra layers on, you know? So, I mean, I'm a forest school mum, so I already believe in the ethos of like Scandi forest schools and stuff like that, but definitely outside as much as possible. Number 3 is expecting too much of them. So I think, you know, it's it's not news to anybody when we say that the state of children's healthcare, mental health care, is really, really bad. The NHS is really struggling with the amount of children who need mental health support. Why on earth do children need mental health support? Is my answer. Why? And I know they do, and I know why they do, but why are children being so stressed that they develop mental health issues? Like, that's wild to me. And I know that it's not just children who go to school, but it's just wild to me. So number 4 is not making it as fun as possible if it's possible to do so. Now, maths, you can't make it fun, in my opinion. It's boring. I know you can be like, you can do baking and you can use interactives like count teddy bears and stuff like that. But make a pizza, a fraction pizza and all of that sort of stuff. But really the bare bones of maths is not really that fun unless you're really interested in it anyway. But everything else can be. You can make a writing curriculum based on Pokemon, if that's what your child's interested in. You could say, we're going to do poetry today. It's all about Minecraft. They don't have to write a poem about spring flowers. They can write it about creepers. Like, it doesn't matter. They're still writing and they're still reading. That sort of thing, like I've just been like, I've just bought a curriculum and been like, this'll do. And then we've done it and they've been like, for the entire thing, or we've just abandoned it because it's lame. And it's one of the reasons why I created my unit study project-based learning curriculum, because I was like, okay, something's got to change here. We need to make this as fun as possible and not expecting too much of them, going back to point 3. And that's how that was born, because I noticed that I needed to, less is more, because we're so like intense, because we're 1 to 3, and we also needed to make it as fun as possible, which meant making it varied, which making it interactive, making it dynamic. And that's how my curriculum was born, because I was like, I need to claw this time back with my children, because their childhoods are short and home education gives us more time to enjoy it. But that means that I have to be intentional about what I'm putting in front of them, and other people's curriculums just weren't cutting it. So that's why I started it. And we're having so much fun learning all of the things we're learning about. I'm going to be sharing some of that. So I'm going to be sharing our journey with that. But this is my journey to make it as fun as possible, because it's childhood. It should be as fun as possible. They can have the best time and they can be learning at the same time. And they so often are. The more fun you make it, the more playful it is, the quicker they learn it, and the more likely it is to stay in their head. That is a psychological fact. So let's make it as fun as possible. And I didn't when they were younger. I'd be like, no, you have to sit here and you have to say, make your sounds and stuff. And they were bored to tears. And then we ended up like having arguments about it. And now we don't. Not in the same way. Now it's like, I wanted to read that bit of the encyclopedia. That was the argument that happened recently. So I will talk more about this in another video I've got coming up, where I say, I talk about how has home educating got easier over the years. Yeah, it certainly has changed. And one of those ways it's changed is by making it more fun in every way possible, except maths, which I just do not believe can be fun in any way, shape or form, unless you really, really like it. Number 5, and my final point, is not enough screen-free play. And this is actually something I asked about in a local home education group recently. I was like, what does screen time look in your house? I'm looking to overhaul my screen time allowances and rules in my house. I need some ideas to present to my children, because I want this to be more of a democracy than a dictatorship in this regard. Like, it's something that completely is about them, and they're all old enough to help make decisions about this, such an important thing to them. But I do feel like my children have become addicted to screen time. I did have some really, really strict rules where they were only allowed like 2 hours a day or 3 hours a day or something. And then I got lapse in that, and then it got worse. So I now I'm getting back into it, and I think I know what rules we're going to talk about. I'm going to present to them, and that is that no screens before 6 a.m. so they can't wake up at 4 and go on games. They have to go back to bed. So from 6, and then then there'll be a time in the morning when it will be like, okay, like you can't go on games within this time. I'm then going to move my things around that I do. So I think I'm going to say that like they can't have games between 10 and 4, any screens. So they can't watch YouTube unless it's for educational purposes. They can't play Roblox, Minecraft, anything like that. They can chat with their friends, like text or video call or something, but they can't be playing a game at the same time. I don't mind them communicating with people. I just don't want them absorbing garbage. Garbage, as we say in our house. And yeah, and then it's going to be like, you can go on in the evenings, but you have to have your homework done and you have to have your chores done. And like, I mean, I've even made them a checklist, like a screen time checklist and a screen time rule chart. Excuse me. All of those are in my I've actually started like writing a little guide about how, like, the pros and cons of screen time to like help people make up their own minds whether they should have unrestricted or whether they should have restricted or whatever. For us, we're choosing restricted. We've had unrestricted for a really long time in the hopes that the children would learn to self-regulate. They didn't. I know that some children do, and that's absolutely fine, but mine just have not, so we need to regulate it for them. And yeah, so I am also I'm making things, as I said previously earlier in this video, like I make things that would have helped past me to home educate better and to mother better. Also, I make things for present me to be able to home educate better and mother better. And one of those things is my 30-day home ed challenge, which is for my kids to do. I give them a challenge every single day and they have to come and present it to me. I also have something called Greet the Morning. That's something that's coming soon, where they have an activity that they have to do before they have screen time, like so after breakfast but before screen time. And it's going to be something, they're going to be really short things. So it's like, okay, you're about to go on and play Roblox for an hour, but before you do that, I want you to watch this educational video about the Egyptians. Or before you do that, I would like you to build me a Lego spaceship, like a small spaceship. Or I want you to build one of your minifigures getting a coffee from a coffee shop, that sort of thing. Or create some flour, make a flower out of tissue paper and a straw. And I will leave those things on the dining table the night before, and I'll leave their challenge on the dining table. So I'm just kind of setting up an activity for them. So you need to do that, and you need to have breakfast, and then you can go on screens. And then after this time, you cannot go on screens, but I'm going to give you loads and loads of fun activities to do. I'm going to give you suggestions to do, to claw back your imagination until you can do it yourselves. So that's my plan. Again, all of those things will be available eventually on my Payhip Shop. I will let you know when, but I'm making them and I'm testing them for my own family, and then I'll stick them on there once I know they work. So that's all from me today. Thank you so much for listening to my ramblings, as usual. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. It means the world to me, and we are doing so well with the views and the watch hours and the subscribers. I am so pleased. I'm like bowled away by the amount of support I'm getting from everybody, and I'm loving all the comments. Please keep the comments up. I get so excited when I see that you've commented, and I love chatting with you in the comments. Please reach out on other social media platforms as well. I'm posting on TikTok as well, but if you watch my YouTube shorts, it's pretty much the same as my TikToks. However, there is occasionally like a TikTok trend or something that is I don't then post on YouTube. And I'm not really on Instagram at the moment. I'm kind of just trying to stick with YouTube and TikTok. And once we've got them underway, I will add in Instagram maybe, but not working with Instagram at the moment. I just it's not my thing. So don't forget to check out my videos. I post Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and there's going to be a short every day. I will see you very, very soon. Take care.